That's cool. What's going on, everyone? I'm back with another video, my second one, and today we're going to be breaking down who are the best candidates left for the Denver Broncos head coaching job. A lot has happened today in regards to Dan Quinn and Sean Payton. Going back to Wednesday, there's been a lot of news, so we're going to break down the remaining candidates and which is the best fit to fill in for the Denver Broncos in the 2023 season and moving forward. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so we'll get into it. A lot has happened. Sean Payton, we'll start with him. There's been a lot of speculation. The Broncos have not set up a second interview with him, but a tweet came out from, I believe, a Washington Post reporter that said, yeah, there wasn't really a click with the Broncos as far as ownership, and the tweet reads, Payton likes the idea of coaching Russell Wilson and having the defense, but fears a potential power struggle with a member of the ownership group. And today Sean Payton tweeted there was zero truth to this report, and he said he had a great visit with the Broncos ownership and was fantastic. So there's a lot of confusion in regards to Sean Payton and the Broncos, but the more I see it, the more I think that the Broncos are just going to stay away from Sean Payton. I don't think he's worth the draft compensation that they would have to give up to get him. You're looking at a late first-round pick, the only first-round pick that they have this year, which is going to be the 49ers pick, and right now that's sitting at 28 or worse. So, I mean, at this point, you might as well just go on and look at other candidates, and there's certainly others that are involved. So I think Sean Payton is out of the mix at this point as far as it looks like with the Denver Broncos. Alright, so the other news that came out today was about Dan Quinn. Now, he was interviewed by the Cardinals, Colts, and Broncos, was believed to be one of the top prospects for the Broncos as well to fill that head coaching vacancy, but it was announced today that interested teams, Dan Quinn told them that he is staying in Dallas. He wants to be the defensive coordinator and try to win a Super Bowl there. So Dan Quinn is not going to be the Broncos head coach. He's not going to be anyone's head coach. He's going to be the defensive coordinator. So it's unfortunate. He would have been my top choice after Sean Payton because he simply has the defensive knowledge and philosophy to be able to not really lose where the Broncos are at, or maybe even help them with quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. On top of that, he has a history of bringing in really good offensive coordinators. For instance, when he was the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, he brought in Kyle Shanahan and Steve Sarkisian. So it really helped Matt Ryan become an MVP level quarterback for a couple years. He won MVP in 2016, and that was the year the Falcons got to the Super Bowl. So Quinn knows how to pick offensive talent as well as the relationship with Wilson. And on top of that, he's got the defensive philosophy. But unfortunately, it didn't work out for the Broncos. So now they don't have Sean Payton most likely, and they're not going to get Dan Quinn. So who is left in this search? Alright, so we're now going to break down the list of every candidate that's interviewed with the Broncos so far in this head coaching search, and we'll start with DeMeco Ryans. Now, according to Troy Rank at Denver 7, it sounds like DeMeco Ryans is the clubhouse leader to get this job. It sounds like they're trying to set up a second interview with him. They can't do that until Monday after the NFC Championship game, since he's the coach, the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. So the concerns I have there is he's got to be able to bring in an offensive philosophy that's going to benefit Russell Wilson and the pieces that are already there. I don't know if he's able to do that, and maybe he is. Maybe he's able to bring in someone in the West Coast system that's able to focus on a strong running game and tailoring to Russell Wilson's strengths. But for now, that still remains a question mark and is very much up in the air. I don't question DeMeco Ryans' leadership ability. I don't question his defensive knowledge. There's been a lot of high praise, including from J.J. Watt, Kyle Shanahan, Kareem Jackson today told Troy Rank that he's a great leader as well. So a lot of high praise for DeMeco Ryans. I'm sure he's going to get a head coaching job at some point. But if the Broncos go with him, he's going to have to show a lot of people that he knows what he's doing and that he's ready for this job and that he's going to be able to bring an offensive identity that's going to work for Russell Wilson and the pieces that are already there. All right, next on the list is Ejiro Evero, the current Broncos defensive coordinator. He's one of the hottest candidates out there. He's interviewed with the Panthers, the Colts, the Cardinals. He's interviewed with multiple teams for multiple openings. He's also had second interviews, I believe, as well. So the positive is that you wouldn't be losing anything defensively. You would be able to keep the same scheme that you have currently. And you really wouldn't be losing anything. You'd just be adding pieces in the offseason to try and get better as well as get healthy. But the question with Evero is, does he want to be here? And also kind of the same question as Ryans, DeMeco Ryans, that is, can he bring in an offensive philosophy that's going to help Russell Wilson? I think at some point, Ejiro Evero is going to get a head coaching job, but is it going to be with the Broncos? Is he going to stay in Denver if there is a different head coaching job? I don't believe that. We'll see what happens, but I mean, at this point, it's safe to say he's not going to be one of the favorites to get this head coaching job. All right, the next candidate is Raheem Morris. He's currently the defensive coordinator for the Rams. I think this is an interview where you're trying to get a real pool of candidates here. I don't think Raheem Morris is quite ready for a head coaching job. It's a nice interview. It's something to be looking for. I'm sure he's going to be one of the hotter candidates here in the next couple coaching cycles. If things break his way, he could be in for a good job. But at this point, I don't think it's the right fit. There's still a lot of questions, like with DeMeco Ryans and Ejiro Evero. It'd be the same with Raheem Morris. I'm sure he's going to get a head coaching job at some point. There's been a lot of high praise from the NFL community, especially Sean McVay. But at this point, I don't think it's the right time, and I don't think he's the right fit for the Denver Broncos job. All right, next on the list is Jim Caldwell. Yes, the Broncos did do an interview with Jim Caldwell, who has previously coached for the Colts and the Detroit Lions. He had a winning record in Detroit. He's also been to a Super Bowl with the Colts, but he lost to Sean Payton and the Saints. I just don't see Jim Caldwell taking this job. I just don't think it would get to where the Broncos ultimately want to be. I think he would provide stability, possibly a good offense for Russell Wilson to come into. I just don't think, with what they need, I think they need a kick in the pants guy. Jim Caldwell has never been that kind of guy. I just think it's not what the Broncos need. He wouldn't be the worst hire in the world, but certainly not what the Broncos are looking for in terms of solid leadership and someone to set a culture to the right place where it wasn't last year with Nathaniel Hackett. All right, the final candidate on this list that the Broncos have interviewed is David Shaw. Now, my thoughts here are, I think this is more so the ties that he has with Condoleezza Rice, which is one of the Broncos owners. The Stanford ties are strong. Now, David Shaw is a good college coach. Don't doubt that, because he's had great success at Stanford. He took over for Jim Harbaugh. But David Shaw hasn't been in the NFL since 2005 when he was an assistant coach. What is David Shaw going to do potentially with, all the issues that are facing him here in Denver? He's an offensive guy, but is he going to be able to provide the kind of system that Russell Wilson is going to thrive in? Because that is the short-term problem for the Broncos, is fixing Russell Wilson. Does David Shaw have the right scheme, the right philosophy to be able to do that? The right philosophy, in my opinion, would be relying on a strong running game, going play action, letting Russell Wilson look for one read. If it's there, hit it. If it's not, let him scramble, find the open guy, and let him make plays. Russell Wilson's one of the best quarterbacks to ever do that kind of play. That's not a knock against him. He was trying to be a pocket quarterback and set his team up at the line of scrimmage before the ball is snapped, like a Tom Brady, like a Drew Brees, like a Aaron Rodgers. That's not Russell Wilson's style. So if David Shaw isn't able to bring in an offense that's going to benefit Russell Wilson, I don't see him as a fit. It doesn't mean he can't, doesn't mean he won't. I just don't know. So I don't think you go in that direction, especially since he hasn't proven himself as a head coach in the NFL. So basically, to wrap this up, I think out of the remaining candidates, DeMeco Ryans seems like the favorite. I think a lot of people have been speaking highly of him, but at the same time, there's still a lot of question marks with all of these candidates. But it's safe to say, I think if you're going to go with DeMeco Ryans, make sure he brings in an offensive philosophy and that he's able to live up to the standard that people have been building him up to. A great leader, establishing a culture, building a philosophy. Hopefully, DeMeco Ryans, if he's able to get the job here in Denver, if the Broncos are able to get a second interview with him, he's able to do that. So with that wraps up video 2. That's how I view the Broncos head coaching search as it is right now. I'll be posting another video tomorrow about the championship games on Sunday, previewing those. What are my thoughts on the matchups and who's going to win? Make sure to follow me on my social media. I'll have links to that below. Also, drop comments on what you want me to cover as far as my commentary videos. I would love your suggestions. Would love to talk about anything sports related. Let me know, and I'll see you next time.